Is there someone in your life, maybe right now, whose actions feel like a constant storm cloud over your head? Someone whose moods dictate yours, whose opinions shape your self-worth, whose very presence can tie your stomach in knots. You feel this deep, often painful connection. You ride their emotional roller coaster, feeling high when they show kindness, crashing low when they withdraw or criticize. It's exhausting, isn't it? This web of emotional entanglement drains your energy, steals your peace, and makes you feel like a puppet whose strings are pulled by someone else. You long for freedom. You want to stand on your own emotional feet, to feel steady regardless of what they do or say. You want to detach. But how? How do you untangle yourself without becoming cold, distant, or uncaring? How do you reclaim your independence while still navigating the relationship, perhaps with a family member, a colleague, or a close friend you can't simply cut out? The idea might feel overwhelming, even impossible, but you're not the first to walk this path. Centuries ago, the Stoic philosophers, thinkers like the wise Roman emperor Marcus Aurelius, grappled with these same human challenges. They weren't emotionless statues. They were people living complex lives, dealing with difficult relationships, betrayals, and disappointments. And they developed a powerful toolkit, a philosophy not for escaping life, but for navigating its inevitable difficulties with wisdom, resilience, and inner calm. Today, we delve into 5 fundamental Stoic rules, drawing heavily on the insights Marcus Aurelius recorded in his personal journal, Meditations. These rules offer a practical path toward emotional detachment, not as an act of rejection, but as an act of liberation. This journey is about finding your anchor in the storm, securing your own inner peace, and learning to relate to others from a place of strength, clarity, and self-possession. Are you ready to start reclaiming your emotional landscape? Rule 1. Focus on your inner citadel. Master your mind. Marcus Aurelius penned a timeless truth for himself, a reminder that echoes through the ages. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the absolute cornerstone of Stoic detachment. Consider honestly how much of your mental energy, your precious time and focus, is spent orbiting around the other person. You replay conversations, trying to decipher hidden meanings. You analyze their texts, their tone of voice, their silences. You spin endless what-if scenarios. What if they leave? What if they're angry? What if I did something wrong? You try to predict their behavior, understand their motives, perhaps even scheme ways to change their mind or win their approval. This relentless focus on the external, on what the other person thinks, feels, says, or does, is the very hook that keeps you emotionally entangled. You're essentially handing them the keys to your emotional kingdom. Stoicism urges a radical shift. Turn your gaze inward. Your mind, your perceptions, your judgments, your choices, your responses. This is your domain. This is the inner citadel the Stoics spoke of, the fortress within you that no one can breach unless you allow it. The actions, feelings, and choices of others, those are outside events. They are fundamentally beyond your direct control. Imagine trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Trying to control another person's feelings or actions is just like that, futile and frustrating. The Stoic insight is to stop squeezing and instead focus on the vessel you can shape, your own mind. When you feel that familiar pang of hurt, anxiety, or anger triggered by someone else, the Stoic practice is to pause and look inward. Don't immediately react or lash out, or even retreat into silent suffering. Ask yourself the crucial questions. What exactly am I feeling right now? What thought, what judgment triggered this feeling? Is this disturbance coming truly from the external event or from my interpretation of it? As Marcus Aurelius constantly stressed, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If your mental landscape is dominated by anxieties about someone else, your happiness becomes fragile, dependent on their whims. So how do you practically build and defend this inner citadel? It starts with awareness. Notice, without judgment, when your thoughts habitually drift towards the other person. When you catch yourself ruminating or worrying about them, gently, kindly redirect your focus. Bring it back to your breath, just for a moment. Feel the physical sensation of breathing in and out. This simple act anchors you in the present and in your own body. Or shift your attention to a task at hand, even a small one, pouring your concentration into it. Engage your senses. Notice what you can see, hear, touch right now. Remind yourself of your values, your goals, the things you care about independent of this person. Journaling can be incredibly powerful here, just as it was for Marcus Aurelius. Write down the situation, the emotion, and the thought or judgment that arose. Seeing it on paper can help detangle it. Ask, is this thought helpful? Is it entirely true? What is within my power right now? Maybe it's simply choosing not to engage further or deciding to focus on a different activity that brings you a sense of calm or accomplishment. Emotional detachment isn't about not caring, it's about caring wisely. It begins when you stop pouring your energy into the uncontrollable vortex of another person's inner world and start diligently cultivating the garden of your own mind. You take back the power you unknowingly gave away. Rule 2. Accept what you cannot change. Embrace reality. This rule flows directly from the first. So much emotional suffering comes from resisting reality, from desperately wishing things, or people, were different. You wish he was more attentive. You wish she wouldn't criticize. You wish they understood you. You wish they hadn't made that choice. This internal battle against what is fuels frustration, resentment, anger, and despair. It keeps you chained to the person because your peace depends on them changing into someone they are not or acting in a way they are not acting. The Stoics champion the profound power of acceptance, not passive, shoulders-slumped resignation, but a courageous, clear-eyed acknowledgement of reality as it presents itself. You cannot force someone to love you, respect you, understand you, or agree with you. You cannot undo their past actions or dictate their future choices. You cannot control their moods, their fears, their flaws, or their journey. To attempt this is, as the Stoics knew, to set yourself up for inevitable pain. It's like demanding the sun not set. Marcus Aurelius frequently wrote about accepting fate, accepting the given circumstances of life. This applies powerfully to the people in our lives. Acceptance means looking squarely at the person's behavior and saying, this is how they are choosing to act right now. This is the reality of the situation. I cannot magically change this fact through sheer force of will or wishful thinking. Consider the immense liberation in this acceptance. Imagine the energy you conserve when you stop pushing against an immovable wall. When you stop demanding someone be different, you free yourself from the cycle of disappointment. Acceptance creates space. It doesn't mean you approve of the behavior. It doesn't mean you have to like it, tolerate it indefinitely. That's where boundaries come in. Or pretend it doesn't hurt. It simply means you stop the internal war against reality. How can you cultivate this acceptance? When you feel yourself getting upset by someone's actions, pause. Ask yourself that critical Stoic question. Is this within my control? Their behavior, their personality, their choices? No. Is my response, my interpretation, my next action within my control? Yes. Shift your focus immediately to that sphere. Instead of thinking, they shouldn't be like this, try reframing it. They are like this right now. Given this reality, what is the wisest, most constructive way for me to respond? This might involve adjusting your expectations, choosing not to engage, or deciding to focus on aspects of the situation you can influence, which always includes your own state of mind. Perhaps consider the Stoic idea of amor fati, not just accepting, but loving whatever happens as necessary for the unfolding of life. Acceptance is the key that unlocks the door to detachment, because it allows you to see the person and their actions clearly, without the fog of your own unmet desires and expectations clouding your vision. You can see them as separate from you, their path distinct from yours, even if those paths intersect. This separation is fundamental to regaining your emotional autonomy. It allows you to care, perhaps even love, without your well-being being contingent on them changing. Rule 3, examine your judgments, challenge your story. Why does a specific word, a particular action, or even a certain look from someone have the power to unravel your day. The Stoics offer a revolutionary insight. It's rarely the event itself, but almost always our judgment about the event that causes the disturbance. The external act is just data. Our internal interpretation is what assigns meaning and triggers emotion. Someone arrives late to meet you, the event, lateness, your potential judgments. They don't respect my time. I'm not important to them. They are so inconsiderate. This always happens. These judgments ignite feelings of anger, hurt, or frustration. Someone offers unsolicited advice. The event, words spoken. Your judgment, they think I'm incompetent. They're trying to control me. They're undermining me. These judgments spark defensiveness or resentment. Marcus Aurelius was a master of self-reflection, constantly scrutinizing his own thoughts and judgments. He understood that our inner narrative shapes our reality. To achieve emotional detachment, you must become a detective of your own mind, uncovering and questioning the automatic judgments you attach to the other person's behavior. When a strong emotion arises in response to someone, pause. Don't just feel the emotion. Investigate its root. What specific thought or belief popped into your head just before or as the emotion surged? Try to articulate the judgment clearly. When they did X, I told myself Y, and that made me feel Z. Once you've identified the judgment, put it on trial. Is this judgment 100% objectively true? Could there be other interpretations? Are you making assumptions? Are you falling into familiar thinking traps, like mind reading, I know they did that on purpose, or catastrophizing, this means the relationship is doomed? Perhaps the person who was late got stuck in unexpected traffic. Perhaps the person giving advice genuinely thought they were helping, however clumsily. Perhaps their actions stem from their own anxieties or habits, having little or nothing to do with you personally. As Marcus Aurelius suggested, try stepping into their shoes, understanding their own pressures and perspectives. Try to penetrate inside and see what sort of people they are. This doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it can diffuse the personal sting of your initial judgment. This process of examining and questioning your judgments creates critical distance. It reveals that your emotional reaction isn't an inevitable consequence of their action, but a product of the story you are telling yourself about that action. Detachment blossoms in this awareness. You start to see that you have a choice in how you interpret events. You can choose interpretations that are more rational, more compassionate, both to yourself and others, and less emotionally inflammatory. You stop being a victim of your automatic reactions and become the conscious author of your inner narrative. Rule 4. Define your boundaries. Protect your peace. Emotional detachment, in the Stoic sense, is not about allowing others to walk all over you. It's the opposite. It's about cultivating such profound self-respect and commitment to your own well-being that you refuse to allow others' dysfunction to become your own. Stoicism champions virtue, including justice and courage. Protecting your inner peace and dignity through healthy boundaries is an act of both. Boundaries are the invisible lines we draw around ourselves, defining what is acceptable and unacceptable in how others treat us and interact with us. They are not walls built out of anger or fear, but fences built with clarity and self-respect. They are not about controlling the other person's behavior, you must stop doing X, but about controlling your actions and choices in response to their behavior. If you do X, I will do Y. Think carefully. What behaviors from this person consistently leave you feeling drained, disrespected, anxious, or diminished? Is it unfair criticism, constant negativity, emotional manipulation, unreliability? Perhaps they demand too much of your time or emotional energy. These are areas where boundaries might be needed. Setting a boundary might involve several different approaches depending on the situation. You might need to limit contact by reducing the frequency or duration of your interactions. Another tactic could be limiting the topics you discuss, deliberately steering conversations away from subjects that inevitably lead to conflict or negativity. Protecting your emotional energy is also key. This could mean choosing not to get drawn into their dramas or personal crises, perhaps offering practical support if appropriate, but safeguarding your own emotional resources. In some situations, it's necessary to clearly state the consequences if a boundary is crossed. You might calmly communicate, "I need our conversations to be respectful. If it feels like it's becoming personal criticism, I will need to end the call or leave the room." Learning to say no to requests that overextend you or feel manipulative is another vital boundary. And sometimes the most courageous boundary is recognizing when a relationship is consistently harmful and having the strength to create significant distance or even end it. Communicating boundaries can be challenging, especially if you're not used to it. Aim for calm, clear, and firm language. Avoid blaming, accusations, or overly emotional appeals. Focus squarely on describing your needs and your intended actions. For instance, instead of an accusatory, "You always make me feel bad," a boundary-focused statement might be, "I find myself feeling drained when our conversations focus heavily on negativity. For my own well-being, I need to limit those kinds of discussions." Remember, you have the inherent right to protect your peace and well-being. Setting boundaries is a crucial part of achieving emotional detachment because it reinforces your status as a separate individual with distinct needs and limits. It actively prevents the unhealthy merging where their problems and moods dictate your own internal state. It serves as a clear declaration that your inner citadel, your peace of mind, is valuable and worth defending. Rule 5. Find your worth internally, anchor your value. At the heart of painful emotional entanglement often lies a dependence on the other person for validation, happiness, or a sense of self-worth. Their approval feels like sunshine. Their disapproval or indifference feels like a personal failing. You look to them to fill a void within yourself, making their opinion the measure of your value. Stoicism offers a radical, liberating alternative. True, enduring worth and contentment can only be found within, through the cultivation of virtue and living in accordance with reason. Your intrinsic value as a human being is not granted or revoked by anyone else's opinion or treatment of you. It resides in your character, your capacity for reason, your choices, and your commitment to living with integrity, courage, justice, and wisdom, the core Stoic virtues. Marcus Aurelius didn't seek his value in the cheers of the Roman crowds or the approval of the Senate. He constantly turned inward, examining his own actions and motivations against his philosophical principles. Am I being fair? Am I acting rationally? Am I fulfilling my duties? Am I contributing positively? This inner alignment was his source of strength and stability, independent of external praise or blame. To truly detach emotionally, you must embark on a similar journey of cultivating internal validation. Stop outsourcing your self-esteem. Actively work on building a sense of worth that is independent of this person. This isn't just wishful thinking, it involves concrete actions. Start by identifying your core values. What principles are truly important to you? Perhaps honesty, kindness, creativity, perseverance, learning, or compassion. Write them down to make them tangible. Then strive to live by these values daily. Make conscious choices, however small, that align with them. Acknowledge your efforts. Did you act with honesty today? Did you show kindness when it was difficult? Did you persevere through a challenge? Furthermore, develop your strengths and interests. Invest time and energy in hobbies, skills, and pursuits that genuinely engage you and make you feel capable and alive. This builds confidence rooted in competence, not external praise. Practice self-compassion, treating yourself with the same understanding and kindness you would offer a dear friend, especially when you fall short or make mistakes. Also, seek ways to contribute meaningfully, whether through your work, volunteering, helping others in your community, or creating something you care about. Engaging in purposeful activity is a powerful source of self-worth. When your sense of value is firmly anchored within your own character and actions, the emotional tides created by others lessen dramatically. You no longer need their approval like you need air. You might still prefer it, you might still value the relationship, but your fundamental sense of okayness doesn't hinge on them. This internal self-sufficiency doesn't create arrogance, it creates resilience. It allows you to interact with the person from a place of wholeness, not neediness. This is the ultimate foundation for healthy emotional detachment, knowing your own worth independent of anyone else. Integrating detachment into daily life. Mastering these 5 rules is not an overnight transformation. It requires ongoing effort, patience, and self-awareness. It's a daily practice, a commitment to governing your inner world. Be patient and persistent with yourself on this journey. You can start by practicing mindful observation. Regularly check in with your thoughts and feelings, especially in interactions related to this person. Simply notice what arises without immediately reacting or judging yourself for having those thoughts or feelings. Consider Stoic journaling as Marcus Aurelius did. Dedicate a few minutes each day or whenever you feel entangled to reflect on challenging interactions through the lens of these 5 rules. Ask yourself, what judgments came up? What was truly in my control versus outside of it? How could I have responded in a way that better reflected my values? Embrace the power of the pause. Before speaking or acting when you feel triggered by this person, take a deliberate pause. Even a single deep breath can create a crucial gap between stimulus and response, allowing your rational mind a chance to intervene. Reflecting on impermanence can also be helpful. Remind yourself that emotions, difficult situations, and even the dynamics of relationships are constantly changing and not permanent fixtures. This broader perspective can lessen the overwhelming intensity of immediate struggles. Understand that setbacks are part of the process. You will inevitably get drawn back into old patterns of thinking or reacting. Don't view this as failure. Instead, see it as valuable feedback. What can you learn from this instance? What triggered the old response? This information helps you refine your practice for next time. Finally, don't hesitate to seek wise counsel. Discussing these challenges with a trusted friend, a wise mentor, or a therapist who understands these principles can provide invaluable support, clarity, and encouragement. Sharing the burden often makes it lighter. Ultimately, the Stoic path to emotional detachment is a path toward profound inner freedom. It's about realizing that while you cannot control the vast ocean of external events and other people's choices, you can learn to captain your own ship with skill and wisdom. By diligently focusing on your mind, accepting reality, examining your judgments, defining your boundaries, and anchoring your worth internally, you build an unshakable inner citadel. From this place of strength and enduring peace, you can navigate all your relationships, even the most difficult ones, with greater wisdom, resilience, clarity, and grace. What is the biggest obstacle you face when trying to emotionally detach? Which of these Stoic rules feels most challenging or perhaps most promising for you to begin practicing? Share your journey in the comments below. Learning from each other is a vital part of this wisdom tradition.